Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. It's Wednesday, January 20th. It's time for the Trade of the Week webinar. I'm Scott Olson, Director of Marketing at Trade Ideas. I'll be helping out in the chat. The audience is muted. Please direct your questions to the chat panel. Your host today is Dan Merkin, founder and CEO of Trade Ideas. If you have questions that are directed at him, you might want to wait until the question and answer portion towards the last half of the webinar. Also assisting in the chat, answering questions, is Barry Einerson, our trading room moderator. Before we get started, a couple quick housekeeping items. Those of you who've been here before know what's going on. You're going to see a question on your screen. It's asking if you are an active Trade Ideas subscriber or not. Well, the reason we ask this is so that we can determine who's showing up at each of our webinars that we have every week. We kind of understand the demographics of the webinars better. We're better able to choose the topics that we cover. And I'm going to leave this up so that the majority of people attending right now can vote. Again, this is just a way for us to know who's attending our webinars. And those of you who may not yet be with us as subscribers, I want to let you know that if you stick around toward the end of the presentation, as a thank you for attending, we'll give out some product codes and a package that lets you get into all of our technology at a cost savings. Great, thanks everyone for voting. And now I'm sharing that with the audience. So it's almost half and half. We have a slight majority of users here who have an active subscription, and the rest of our guests do not currently. Thanks everyone if you're attending for the first time. The follow-up question here is for those that are subscribers, and that's asking if you do have the OddsMaker AI license. So if you're a regular to our webinars or our product, you understand that the artificial intelligence license is also the OddsMaker license. The OddsMaker is our backtesting module, which created the server technology that evolved into our AI. And owning that license is a one-time fee, and it's necessary for access to the higher functionality of Trade Ideas. But you do have it for life, so you are locked into that price forever as having the OddsMaker and the AI. All you need is an active Trade Ideas subscription to go along with it. And that can be had for as little as $99 a month. All right, thank you for voting. So it looks like most of those who are current subscribers and attending do have the OddsMaker. That's great. And just like I mentioned to the people who are not currently subscribers, if you don't have the AI and want to get it today, at the end of the webinar, I'll have a great way for you to get that. So I'm going to go ahead and mute myself and turn you over to Dan Merkin. If he coughs, please give him a little bit of slack. He's recovering from a Dan, I think you might be muted.
Scott, thank you very much. How is my sound coming through?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, fantastic. Everyone, thank you, and welcome to the Trade of the Week webinar. It's going to be a really good show today because sometimes, you know, timing is everything, and I'm going to get into it a little bit about that. In essence, again, timing is the thing that separates the winners from the losers. Before we dive into winning, I want to make sure that everyone understands that Trade Ideas is not a registered investment advisor. So the information that I provide in our webinars and the information you see in our software is for informational and educational purposes only. Okay, please consult your registered investment advisor for official investment advice. We're here, you're here because you're on our email list for Trade Ideas Trade of the Week, and many of you don't use our software as a subscription service, and many of you do. So I'm going to talk a little bit about making money in the market, and I'm going to try to, before we're going to jump into some opportunities and what they look like, but I really want to talk about potential energy. Okay, so there's kind of a little display here on the slide where you can see the potential energy is the balloon with all the air in it, and the kinetic energy is once the air is gone, the balloon excuse me, starts to move. So in the stock market, because there's so many moving parts, it's been really difficult for technology providers to figure out how do you really show the conversion of potential energy to kinetic energy, and that's what we're looking at. When we're doing the Trade Ideas Trade of the Week, we're going to highlight what it looks like when there's a considerable amount of potential energy, and how does it get displayed into kinetic energy and why. What are the things that happen? I'm going to show you some of these opportunities so that, again, if there's nothing else that you do on this webinar, we're going to show you some names where you can make money and how our technology found them. So again, I'm going to come back to the presentation later, but this whole thing about finding the things that really are going to move is about potential energy, identifying it, and figuring out how to tap into it. So let me minimize the presentation, and here we are with Trade Ideas. So for those of you that are not familiar with what Trade Ideas does, this is Trade Ideas, and kind of like Netflix, you have channels where you can surf and see what's going on depending on the kind of channel that you're watching. Like, for example, on the search channel, you're going to be seeing as volume quickly comes into a stock. And again, see this huge bar and this huge bar. That's what we call that potential energy and kinetic energy conversion. So you can kind of see like how the volume is almost like pumping up the balloon. It's like, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Eventually, the balloon pops on either end. It could be on this one or on this one, and it goes higher or lower. But this is what we look for. And ZFGN is a name that I would like for you to write down because it's exhibiting signs of getting ready to rip. I mean, potentially all the way back here. And ZFGN was actually a Trade Ideas Trade of the Week several weeks earlier. So our AI has been looking for this to happen, and it's starting to happen now. And this is what it looks like. Look at this. You know, just it's the combination of the volume with this extraordinary move that lets you know that, hey, something serious is going on, and write down this symbol, ZFGN, for tomorrow. So there's a lot of names, and this is why, again, I was talking about sometimes you just got to be at the right place at the right time. So we are not sure that tomorrow is going to be an update, but today, the way the market behaved, and I'm going to show you some names just for you to kind of keep an eye on. So Twitter is this stock that obviously so many of us are familiar with, huge social presence, but the stock itself has been literally obliterated. I mean, it opened up somewhere around here, went as high as here, fell, traded higher, and then just from 51 all the way down to the lows, which I think happened today. So the low was like 1567, and really right after doing that, Twitter started trading higher as the market was still making lows. It looked like literally, see, look at this, and I'm going to expand this so you can see it. Look at this area right here. So here I am, I'm expanding. Right here is that ballooning, okay, where you can see is a, this is all this potential energy, and even though it's sold off, a huge amount of people got into this stock here, which makes me feel like, again, to the tune of being at the right place at the right time, there could be some follow through tomorrow. I mean, tomorrow is going to be a very important day, but if you can have another up move, you can see Twitter quickly trying to get back into the 19s and the 20s. That's a huge percentage movement from where it was today. So, again, everything about being at the right place at the right time. The potential energy of the turnaround is some of the best opportunities that you can have in the stock market. So I'm going to talk about a couple of the names, again, to the tune of Trade Ideas Trade of the Week. So BNED was our Barnes & Noble education. So the Trade Ideas Trade of the Week happened on this day, and look, it's continuing. And what I'm going to do is, let me type it in here. Bear with me for 1 second. Okay, so what I want to show you here is, our algorithms are looking for these big, again, pullbacks, stabilizations, and then a continuation. So this is what what a base looks like. And if you can imagine the potential energy, and the reason it happens is that it's a combination of two things. So here you have this huge gap down and washout. So there's a lot of people who are panic selling. And it's happening all throughout here, but now some of the people are starting to pick it up. And here, there's people who have sold here who are upset that they got out and it started to go back up. As it's selling off, it's digesting, but here it's starting to pick back up, and now it's 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row. So again, our software, the AI, it has a lot of mathematical, what we call examples of what footprints look like of something that's about to really start going. And this is one of them. So one of the things we look at for is a gap void. So in other words, if BNED started to get higher and traded as high as, let's say 11 or 11.29. So once it got past this point, I'm going to say going to rip. So I am putting in an alert here. This is one of the ways that you never miss anything in Trade Ideas. I'm putting on an alert so that when Barnes & Noble really starts to fill this gap area, I'm going to know right away and I'm going to get in it. So with Trade Ideas, it's not only are you going to be presented with the best ideas, but will never miss them because you're going to be able to limit yourself into whatever it is you want for any stock. And we'll talk about that. So again, BNED was the one that we called out. We called it out on this day, and it's continuing higher. It still looks pretty good, so I would definitely continue to watch it. So let's take a look at another one that is a big one. So CMRX, this also was a Trade Ideas Trade of the Week before, and again, you can see gigantic gap up, okay? And if you kind of zoom out, there's like a little bit more of what you can see. So here is this huge gap up, okay? Gap down. And it's starting to stabilize. It's stabilized, and here, the market's really come through, and here it is. It's really starting to try to pick up again. And this is one of those things that almost all of the bad news that could possibly be there is out. So what we try to find is where the supply and demand kind of missed one another. So it's very possible that this was overdone, too much panic to go from 35 to 8. Plus there's a very big hedge fund that's involved. So CMRX, again, once we get past 10, 10.20, go, go, go. So we definitely are going to be looking at this, and when this gets alerted at this price, you're going to see huge continuation. So CMRX is another one that we really like. Let's take a look at, okay, Cure. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in, excuse me, and I'm going to show you again that it hasn't really started to go, but you want to, but you really want to be aware, because this is a very, very 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days tight range. This is where it really decides what it wants. And you can see a much bigger move to the upside. Okay, so the next one, okay, LEI. So LEI was one that we really liked because whenever you have a day like this where a stock goes from $1 to 12. Something crazy is going on. So it's come down, but it's basically now, it's basically setting up in such a way where you're going to be getting in, and the out is just underneath $4. So it's very, the risk reward very high with a very small stop. So again, tomorrow, look for this, get in, and set a stop like at the low, like right around 420. Because again, it's looking like it may want to try the higher levels. Always something interesting when you have that kind of volatility. Let's see what else we have. Okay. So I think I mentioned this one in the previous webinar. So take a look at this. Okay, much like what I showed you guys. So I'm going to come over here real quick. So this is INPR, and you definitely want to be aware of this because similar situation. Notice huge gap down and starting to go, right? Well, look at this. A little bit longer, more digestion. And it really actually started to fill, but then came back when the overall market was selling off. But this day, that's a very, very pivotal, strong kind of tell. So tomorrow, you could see some serious follow through if there's more upside. I mean, so again, that's what we look. So look for this, especially above this high at 1248. I mean, you could see an explosive move of $2 or $3 in one day, easy. And again, that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to fill this void. That's kind of, again, I want to make sure that as I'm talking about this, that you guys see what I'm trying to do, and that is translating things in a very simple way from a point of view of not like relative strength or convergence, divergence, and stochastics, and all this voodoo that every other vendor has spent like 3 decades shoving all over people. We've gotten so good at like drawing lines on charts that we forgot why it is that we were drawing them in the first place. Okay, and so one of the things that we at Trade Ideas really focus on is really we get rid of the voodoo and stick to the science. It's just mathematics and footprints. So see again, this huge volume bar, that's the balloon that's full of air, and all this potential energy needs another catalyst. And this type of trading day, I mean, this was also very good. It looked like it really wanted to go. And it's an interesting example here because I want to show how everything that you see on charts is completely subjective. It's the most important thing that you can learn, which is why I say, my gosh, stop drawing and start acting, or at least let Trade Ideas help you act, because we know where the best odds are. So here in this example, see this right here, and again, if Barry's in the room and some of the other people who have experience, you know what I'm talking about. So this, when this stock broke this level right here, I mean, it looked like all bets were just off and it was going to go. But look at the next 2 days, came right back. This is a very, it's what I mean, what you call it, this is like falling for the banana in the tailpipe. But the idea of why we keep strict risk management and why Trade Ideas helps you not just with what to see, but what to do and how long to be in it and the stops, is because the market is littered with these kind of tricks where this looks perfect and then it does this, and look how many days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, you're basically all of December. If you stayed in it and you needed to win, you know, you would have just been tying up your capital, and that's the real disadvantage of being an active investor and sitting in losses. You tie up your capital. We never do that at Trade Ideas, and our technology helps you avoid that by constantly taking your stops and always maintaining, again, to take as much alpha or profit out. So again, even though this rule, it still applies, but just want to show you that just because you see it on a chart doesn't mean it's going to happen. It just means that there's some probabilities attached. But once we start trading here, and if we can get one of these, then you're talking. So IMPR, again, very, very nice. Let's take a look at another one. So let's see. Okay, so one of the smaller ones, ARGS, okay, Argos Therapeutics. So here again, you see, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So this stock has been as high as 10 and just, has had a bad run of it. It's come down, but here, for the first time, it's trying to stabilize. And this is where, look, you don't really have to worry too much about what they do or what they don't do. I mean, you know where your risks are. If you're getting into like 230, you know you're going to be out at like 180 because the whole thesis is done. But that's not a bad place to try to go to 6, risking 30 or 40 cents to try to make 300 or 400%. That's available in the market if you're open to it. Everybody, when you listen to TV, my gosh, they tell you don't try to time the market and you can't time it. It's just the biggest bunch of crap. It's not that you can't time it, it's just that you have to have a systematic, scientific approach to making active investments. That's all. You just can't be randomly throwing darts at it, which is what you do with your eyes. So, okay, OVAS. Another example, like first of all, notice this move. I mean, who of us would not have wanted to be in this stock between, when it started to go 650? I mean, it really never pulled back. This is one of the more beautiful kind of trading days that I would have liked to have been in. And look at the bigger picture. Okay, this is a beautiful, beautiful pattern because there's a lot of positive things that are happening to it. So I'm going to show you this, and again, remember, OVAS, write down these symbols in tonight's webinar. We're trying to get you subscription money for free. So let me show you what you can do with trade ideas that really kind of helps you nail some things down. So here, again, because I told you we have limit alerts, so what I can do is I can take and I can draw really, really long trend lines, okay? So look at this. So here's a trend line. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. That interestingly enough was broken over here, but then kind of reverted back to it. But now it's starting to, I mean, this is how tricky the market is. You can have a downtrend break, and then look, it's still above the trend line, right, heading lower, but it's still to the right of it. It's not below here. This break is actually still valid. So there's a lot of interesting things happening here, and certainly these 2 days are some of the best. So obviously tomorrow, if you see, there could be, nobody knows exactly what's going to happen, but the idea is that watch for OVAS on pullbacks. This is the kind of potential energy setup that we like to see, okay? And notice here, again, you also have that gap. It filled it, but again came all the way back. But if the trend changes on this one, you can have an incredible run. I mean, talking about over 100%. And that's just to get back to 20. We're not talking about, the potential of this thing really starts to turn it around. This is what they don't want to tell you about the market, is that, number one, you don't always have to be long. You could have been short this. You can be, this was an incredible ride to the downside, and here it is. I mean, I just drew this trend line and its break. You can do things like that with trade ideas. You can constantly be zooming in and out and kind of seeing, well, is this correct? So you can say, well, let me get this trend line, grab it, and I'm going to come over here, let's say, and draw another one. Like right here, okay? So this is so now you can see that even though we're still above that long trend line, we might be getting ready to break another uptrend line right as we cross 950. So OVAS, again, a lot of things coming together, and what I'm, it is that it's the timing. I mean, it's not every day that you get to be in the markets and participate in what's arguably the worst, well, not arguably, the worst January we've ever seen. But where you see stuff like that, there's also huge opportunities. And with trade ideas, you're going to be able to constantly be set up where you see these high potential energy setups everywhere. That's what we are all about. I want to constantly be able to find where the trend changes so that what you see here on the downside, maybe we can catch it on the upside. I mean, look at this one. I mean, again, I'm not saying oil is coming back, but we're going to be watching it, and certainly, if I see this stock trading somewhere around here, I'm going to instantly say oil, rebound, and then you don't spend a lot of time overthinking it. You just know it's there, you've got it covered, and when you need it, it'll be there. It'll come back. Scott, why don't we take a little break? You give everybody kind of the overview, and then I'll come back and talk a little bit more about everything.
Yeah, it sounds good. I see you're already putting that card up. So Trade Ideas, as some of you are aware, we're a software as a service company, and the core of our business is our subscription model. So that is $99 per month, and that includes everything, including the real-time data, the charting, a very important thing, a free hour of one-on-one training, the hour of power. As soon as you sign up for a subscription, you really should go to the support section of the website, click on training, and sign up. It's free. It's the best way to get a head start. It also includes trial of our backtesting module, which is a portion of the AI strategies I'll get to in a moment. But first, I do want to mention that our annual subscription saves you a bundle off of the monthly subscription, and that's only $888 a year. I do recommend moving into the annual subscription from the monthly at some point while you're with us, because it does save you quite a bit of money. Also, you get grandfathered in at that rate, either the monthly or the annual. When we raise rates, you stay at the plan price that you started with us as long as your subscription is active. So it's not the best idea to wait for our technology. It's best to get into it as soon as it's interesting before the rate changes. Now, the AI channel and the AI strategies with Holly, our AI entity, Holly Grail, that's a little different. That's a one-time license fee. So it's a one-time license of $1,100, and what that does is it gives you full access to all of our higher level technology, including the AI channel, which evolved out of our backtesting module. So the server technology that built our backtester grew and got smart. So with that $1,100, it also gets you full access to that backtesting module, the odds maker, so you can optimize your own strategies. And you can do that without any program. So unlike something like TradeStation, which you have to do some programming, write some scripts for, and then you're only able to test 1 or 2 stocks at a time, you can backtest up to the entire market or portions of it using our technology. And of course, most importantly, it does get you into the AI channel, which gives you trades that are performing in the market right now, today. Stick with us to the end of the webinar, and for those of you who either do not currently have a subscription or don't currently have access to AI, I will show you how you can save some money today getting into it. Turn you back over to Dan, and when he has the questions portion, you can ask all those questions right in the questions panel, and we'll help to make sure those get answered. Dan?
Scott, thank you very much. Whoops. How about that? I accidentally hit my own microphone. Scott, is it still functioning?
You're still live. At least you didn't fall down.
My goodness. I was waving, I gesticulate with my arms because I'm passionate about this stuff, and I just gesticulated the microphone almost off the desk. Let me minimize back, and okay, so guys, ladies and gentlemen, we're here to find opportunities to make money. This was another example of something that's just, you have to be aware of this information to really take advantage of it. This is everything about the market that people don't want you to know, that it does this kind of thing. So here's ECPG, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit over here. So look at how this thing just traded 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 30 minutes or so doing nothing, and then literally exploded from 16 to 20 without ever coming back. I mean, you have to be looking at things like this to be able to find them. You're not going to find this on the same page that's looking at Twitter and Facebook and Apple. That's just not, what happens. But this is the kind of opportunities that we bring to the table that completely change your perspective on what's possible in the market, and we want you guys to participate in them. This is exactly that, again, the potential energy. Notice the decline with the increased volume, and then this balloon is now telling you this is it. The air is about to come out, and this thing could be going higher. So for sure, tomorrow, let's make sure that you guys are at least keeping an eye on ECPG, depending on what's going on. So the real crux of like what Trade Ideas is bringing to the table, and how we're trying to change the game, is not only are we showcasing the fact that you can beat the indexes. There are huge amounts of opportunity out there. You just have to be, again, open-minded to take advantage of them. But we also have a computerized system. We have an AI engine. And this AI engine is there for you to follow and learn during the day in terms of how to invest. So the AI is trading. It's managing money. It has stops on everything. It has profit targets. And here's an example. Today it made almost 10 points, 9.86 points, as if it was trading one share. But you multiply this number by a share number, and you kind of get an idea of what you could have done. So there's no other technology that lives on the earth that is completely automated and is trading for you to watch. So that's like our bread and butter of how we've changed things, going from a tool that you would use to figure out what you need to do to technology that completely automates what you should be doing. We find the high potential energy names, and then you can watch our AI trade. There is no better way for you to make money in the stock market today. You're going to always be doing where, number one, the AI goes in the path of least resistance. So whatever it is that's working, we figure it out. And somehow it knew to be mostly long today. That's the difference. It's the numbers. It's the fact that right now, while we're all doing a webinar in our server room, almost 1 million trades are being processed just to get ready for tomorrow. Just so that we can, again, have a heads up on this, on when it's time to go, or this, or this. The key is for you guys to have your attention be focused on the things that matter. And there are a lot of things that are competing for your attention out there. You've got, Jim Cramer, CNBC. But what I'm trying to tell you is that Trade Ideas, okay, we possess the only artificial intelligence engine that sits there during the day that you can watch and teaches you how to trade. It teaches you, but it also lets you follow it. So it's kind of like you can, when it's making money and you're doing what it's doing, you profit from it. But when it's managing the mistakes and doing it the way you would never do, that's when you learn. So again, this is the evolution. The evolution is it's not a newsletter anymore. It's nothing like that. It's a full, living, breathing, technological advancement that is an artificial intelligence system that lives and breathes to be an active investor and beat the S&P and grow an account. That's what we're here for. So that's the answer to the questions. What I want to do is I'm going to bring up just one more window. And by the way, for everyone who's a subscriber to Trade Ideas, all of the windows I share. So if you want access to any of these, just let us know and we'll give them to you. But of course, you have to be a subscriber. So let's take a look at a couple more names. Okay, so this one, you're going to want to watch, but the volatility, something's going on. Again, keep an eye on it simply because of this kind of potential energy. There's going to be a move. We already talked about CMRX, looking for it to go higher. TBPH, okay, I'm going to zoom in here. Okay, so this is again what we like here, and I'm going to kind of just approximate the trend line. So here, so what you're seeing here is a break that happened today. So this is very, very good. Okay, this is and it closed above the break. So you'd want to kind of, this is a good entry with a stop like right at 15. So keep an eye on TBPH tomorrow if there's follow through. Always like to see it when a trend line like this breaks. And you can see that right there. Okay, let's go to, okay, Shoe Carnival. A big time off of lows. Look at, notice how again, I want to show you kind of, see here, we would be, and we've talked about this before, we look for these moves that, where you start to come out of this negativity and get this potential energy built up. So this was a really nice move with a pullback and it's starting again. This is definitely a stock that has potential energy in it. So something that you should write the name. And again, if you are a subscriber, we'll give you all these windows. Let's see here. Okay, MYR Group. Very similar, very low risk trade, and really is trying to set up. I mean, you can imagine that you can mark this up with in just near term, and look. So right on this trend line, I mean, it broke, and see, this is the thing too. You know, things break trend lines. These are just visual mnemonics, and that's why I'm drawing them so you can kind of relate to what I'm doing. But a trend line by itself doesn't mean anything. It just means that there is potential. So we look for a trade actually above here, like right here. And I say trend line brick. Whoops. Okay. So let's see, we got that. Applied DNA Sciences. Well, this is another one that when you start hearing about it, it could be too late. Look at this move. Huge potential energy. It's been trying since November. But again, you want to see this thing above like $4, like right here. And type in a whoa. That means something's definitely going on. Okay? So let's see, Revlon. Yeah, I think this is it for today. Lifeway Goods. Let me see. Yeah, Lifeway Goods is getting ready. Again, we love seeing this type of candle on the potential energy side with volume. So watch for this one as well. What I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to answer the questions that haven't been answered. So as Scott said, we're a subscription-based service, and people use our technology all throughout the day, and they actively engage in the markets. And the big thing that we came out with in 2015 is we added a full suite. So now we have charting and our artificial intelligence, which is, again, these strategies that historically design themselves to be better than any human and trade throughout the day so that you can follow. Let's see. Let me see if there's anything I'm missing here. Fernando, absolutely. So let me explain. So Fernando's asking us, do we expect the TI-AI paradigm to work just as well in a prolonged bear market? And of course we do. And I'm not saying that to be, flippant or just, to quickly answer the question. Let me explain why. So these are strategies, and right now today there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 strategies. Okay, so let me explain. Out of these 7, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 long, 2 shorts. So in our bank of strategies, we have 35 strategies, and they're both long and short, and they compete with each other. That's what they're doing tonight, to see who's going to win. So in a bear market, naturally, strategies that are short, there will become more of them, and there will be like more shorts and less longs. So because our software is constantly adjusting, so every night it re-looks at itself and it redesigns itself for the next day, just like you would as a human. If you traded, for example, today, right, you wouldn't be super gung-ho to just come into the market and just short everything, because there was a pretty big rally at the end, which kind of made you think that maybe, there's a bid in here. So you'd have to be careful. You would take that knowledge and use it tomorrow. Our AI does the same thing, except it's doing it mathematically. It's crunching through 1 million possible trades, learning from what happened today, adding it to its bank of information, and then continuing. So our software would not care if you're in a prolonged bear market, a bull market, or a sideways market. It will find the path of least resistance. Fernando, did that answer your question? Hopefully. Okay, fantastic. So what I'm going to do is, Scott, I think, again, we've gone through all the potential energy, the alpha. The big thing that separates trade ideas from everybody else is that this is living, breathing technology that tells you what to do. From the morning, it starts and just it trades all day, and you can trade around the P&L. You can see what it's doing. You can see like, oh, so this was a long trade, and look what happened. Here you actually made $0, right? But look what would happen if you had held it the whole day. So you learn from the software and you interact with it in a way that, again, that you could just never do otherwise, because you yourself paper trading, there's no system. This is always trading a system, always using the rules, and always going in the direction of least resistance, and always goes both ways. So there's just no better way for you to figure out, again, look at this trade, for you to figure out how to take advantage of technology that's geared to help you find the best opportunities. There's nothing out there that could even come close. We help you with finding alpha, whether it's free from this trade of the week or throughout the day if you're using it for investment exploration and strategy development. So Scott, I think we're ready to rock and roll. All the questions seem to be answered. Let's finish up and let people come back and.
Yeah, outstanding. So something we love to do to thank everyone for attending our webinars is offer a subscription special. So the product code you see highlighted there is actually the wrong one. Let me fix that and ask Dan to refresh that. I had it correct on today's earlier webinar. If you could just refresh that. Let me verify that your handout is accurate, because it should be the same one I gave out before. So if I direct, yes, it's correct on your handout. If I direct your attention to your GoToWebinar panel, you'll see that there is a handout. Yes, that's correct now, Dan.
Is it correct now?
It is, yes, thank you.
Okay.
That was my bad. But the handout you can download is a PDF. It's in your handouts module on your GoToWebinar interface, and it contains this same page and the next page as well. And what the code there, Holly, and it has to be all capitals, HOLLY 20. What that does is it takes half off your first month, 20% off your first year, or 30% off the lifetime oddsmaker license. So that lets you pick up the oddsmaker and AI for just $770 lifetime. And you can get the first year for $710 instead of $888, or you can try your first month for half off, just $49. And just like with the yearly, there's no contract. So if you decide you want to cut us off after 2 months, you can, and no contract. But our average client stays for a lot longer than that. These codes, Holly 20 expires on the end of business on Friday. However, for those of you who really understand the value of trade ideas, and this is where those of you who are current subscribers but don't yet have the oddsmaker can really switch over from your $99 a month plan to get the year and the full power of the AI just at once. So this is our package for the AI, and it ends up costing you only $12.88, and that saves you $700 immediately. So the way to get this is to go to the URL that you see, and that's bit.ly/ and that's capitals AI Holly, and that'll take you to a page where you can directly purchase the $12.88 package. And if you're already on us at the monthly rate of $99 a month, or say it's your first month that you got at a discount and you want to upgrade into this, do this and then send us an email letting us know that you did it. So just check your account and make sure that the new full year of renewal is going to go on instead of your monthly. Thank you everyone for joining us. You'll get an email with a replay of this after the upload. If you have any questions at all, email us at info@trade-ideas.com. And you should also be following us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/tradeideiaspro. Dan on Twitter is TradeIdeas1. And we also post a lot of great trade ideas to the @TradeIdeas account. The best place to ask us questions is the email info@trade-ideas.com, or you can give us a call during normal business hours on the west coast of the U.S. Again, thanks everyone for joining us. I will be sending you an email with all this information and a recording link. Dan, thank you.
Look forward to seeing you guys. Thank you. Take care.